going back to Sweden with another stupid idea. Swedes are just kind of losing their mind, but their leaders are losing their minds. Their brains are going on fuzz.
It's March 15th, 2017.
So how many of you think it's a really great idea that if somebody was in your country and they went to join ISIS, and they fought with them, that they just come back and then everything's cool?
Yeah, we could just hang out.
Raise your hand. Well, I guess the Swedish, they have...
Dang it, not the Swedish feminazis.
She's the Minister for the Culture and Democracy. Her name is Kuhnke. And she has suggested that the Swedes who left to fight for radical Islamist groups in the Middle East should be welcomed back and helped to integrate into society.
Sounds like such a good idea.
And you know what? She has some great ideas, because she says in order to integrate, she thinks that there's a wide range of measures they can take. Wait, here we go. Debt forgiveness. Wait a minute.
Spaghetti.
Wait a minute. No, debt forgiveness.
Debt forgiveness. I'm going to translate.
Driving lessons.
Writing lessons.
Driving
lessons.
Driving lessons.
Driving lessons.
And free housing.
Free housing.
And that would help them to not be ISIS killers no more. I think it's a great idea. Don't you? She says not to worry. It might take up to 20 years,
she said,
to get them back to being normal. I don't know if they're going to set them in front of TV and then just watch little bunnies and children all the time and say, don't shoot, don't kill.
We were on a dog walk today, Leah and I, together, and she was telling me this, and she's like, that's exactly, I mean, what is this? What are they going to do? Sit them in front of a television and have them watch children and bunny rabbits, like, and happy things?
We are the world.
I don't even know.
Come and make it a better place.
Hang on.
What?
All right. No.
It doesn't say anything about Michael Jackson.
No, I know.
It really doesn't. I promise you, that's my idea.
I know.
All right, so.
I don't think Jackson's going to be able to help those ISIS guys.
All right. Well, let's just listen to someone else tell it.
Okay.
For a second.
Swedish Minister for Culture and Democracy, Kuhnke, has suggested that Swedes who left to fight for radical Islamist groups in the Middle East should be welcomed back and helped to integrate into society.
Good idea.
Ms. Kuhnke made the comment Sunday evening on the television program Agenda, which is transmitted by the Swedish state broadcaster SVT. The program focused on the fact that some 300 Islamic radicals from Sweden had gone to the Middle East to fight for groups like Islamic State, and around half of them had returned to Sweden. The minister added she and the government had no idea how many of the returnees were still radicalized versus how many left because they had become disillusioned with Islamist beliefs.
So she didn't quite ask them some questions. Do you still want to kill Westerners? Do you still believe that women are like chattel? Do you? So I think that she was kind of mocked heavily on Twitter.
Well, I would say.
And yeah, so Magnus Ranstorp took to Twitter to note that at least 2 returning Swedish jihadists were involved with the terrorist attacks that occurred in Paris in 2015 and in Brussels. So, what are your intentions? Now, I'm going to show you
Well, they're allowed to lie. Let's keep that in mind. So they can come back and you don't ask them the question, is it going to do any good?
But they didn't even ask. They just came right back. I'm going to show you a weapons cache that Spain found with Interpol up in a minute. So, she says, when asked how many radical Muslims were involved in the de-radicalization programs, she estimated
between 10 and 30 people.
Listen, that's not a very big number. I can count, you can probably count them. Isn't the idea that you track these people anyways? Based on information given to her by various municipalities.
There are far too few. We have to work together much better.
I think she would have said, there are far too few. We have to work together much better.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. She says that she could not confirm that those who had been through the programs had been successfully de-radicalized, saying the process could take a decade or more.
I have a feeling it might be harder to get the ISIS out of an ISIS jihadist than it would be to get heroin out of a heroin addict. Just saying. A little bit.
I think it's about as easy to get ISIS out of an Eskimo.
Ha 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 ha. Get it? ISIS. That was lame.
We cannot say that we have succeeded because it's such a short time. It is only in 10 and 15 years we can say that they actually managed to leave these environments.
Here's the thing. ISIS jihadists that have killed people, that want to kill people, they're not just like, they're not like a drug addict where it was just self-inflicted type. They're not the type of person where we just want to rehabilitate you. That's like saying to a rapist or a murderer, can you come to our program and we'll rehabilitate you and reincorporate you into society despite the fact that you've killed and raped people.
Well, Ranstorp has this article that says, the guy who was doing the tweets, Magnus Ranstorp, that even last week there was an article where Swedish welfare state funding Islamic terrorism. So they've even found that on Swedish welfare, these people are receiving it while they're not even in the country. So that could be kind of an issue.
Sweden, y'all got problems, man.
Shows that around 300 Islamists have claimed benefits by using others to give the government the impression that they still live in Sweden, despite the fact that they are in Syria or Iraq fighting for jihad groups.
Dang it.
So, way to go, Sweden. Not only are you allowing them back in, but you're also funding them.
While they're not there.
So, this is very exciting for us. And
it's very exciting.
It's very
not
exciting
quite the word
news.
I was looking for.
It's funny because you're not allowed to speak out in Sweden. And
while we're on this,
Paul Joseph Watson did an interview with Tim Poole, who went over there.
Are we going to cover that?
Yeah, but probably not here. We'll
okay, but while we're talking about this, while I have the Swedish thing on my mind, because I want to kind of cover two different things where we can put this in perspective. Leah was talking to me about a show that she wanted to do a little episode of this horrific beating of a man in a restaurant who had a cane. He was like in his 30s, and he was offering to pay for two guys' meals because it looked like they didn't have enough money. He offers to pay for their meals, and instead they take offense and they start beating him. And I think it ended up being like 5 guys that beat this guy.
6 guys, yeah.
And then nobody helps the guy on the ground. And another lady comes in and she literally walks over top of him, like not offering to help or anything like that.
Right.
And you guys are probably, Leah Michelle, why don't you cover that story? It's a really important story. And maybe we will, but I'll tell you, Leah and I have disagreements sometimes, and we have to talk things out about what we're going to cover and what we're not going to cover. But I'll tell you, I'm probably in the wrong here. I know I am. But I said I don't want to cover this because the guy that was being beaten was a white guy, and the guys that beat him were black guys. And why didn't I want to cover it? Because I don't want people coming back and just saying, oh, Leah and Michelle, here you are. A lot of you are going to be like, yeah, you awful black people. Or you guys just hate black people. No. This is about evil that was done to a person. And I didn't want to cover the story that should be covered simply because I didn't want us to be labeled as racists. And Leah said to me, she says, Michelle, that's exactly what's happening in Sweden, and that's why nobody speaks out about what's happening with the Muslims, and that is what's happening all over Europe, and that's why nobody speaks out. So you Americans maybe can understand a little bit more because you're asking, why aren't these Swedish people speaking out? Why isn't anybody just saying it and calling it like it is? Because everybody is afraid of being labeled as a racist.
And I think that they're even more afraid that they will radicalize other people to start being, getting angry and violent. But, here's the thing. That doesn't mean you can't not say the truth.
Right.
Just because you're afraid that somebody will mess the truth up in their mind.
Or twist what you said, or view you as wrong. You have to, and Leah is so right. You have to speak the truth regardless of what anybody else is going to think about you. Okay, and so that's why it's so important here in America and in Europe that we speak out about radical Islam and we speak out about these things that are happening all over the world.
Okay.
So, all right, you guys, this is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it's not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell for notifications so you get an email every time we put out a new video, and find us on Facebook and Twitter. God bless you guys. We'll be back in a little bit.
Was called